Protect our nation from being sold. Join the call now.
Tonight on First at 9 this Saturday the 14th of September 2024. Done and dusted. Distribution of official polling cards done, says the Postal Department. Security forces will be deployed island-wide during and post-election, says the top election office. War of votes. Presidential candidates make promises and criticize each other as the presidential race heats up. From bust to boom, Sri Lanka records a 4.7% GDP growth in the second quarter of 2024. Fourth consecutive positive growth following 6 quarters of contraction since 2022.
ඔබේ විශ්වාසය දෙනු සෙන්සුරයින් දැන් ළඟමැති ෆාමසියෙන් ලබාගත හැක.
From Derana, this is Derana First at 9. Live from Studio 24 in Colombo.
Good evening and welcome to Derana First at 9. I'm Aditya Singha joining you live with the latest in Sri Lanka and around the world. Now taking you straight to your top story this evening. The Postal Department reports that the distribution of official polling cards for the 2024 presidential election concluded today. The Election Commission revealed that voters who failed to obtain their official polling cards are eligible to vote by verifying their identity using their national identity cards. Meanwhile, the Commissioner General of Elections, Saman Sriratnayaka, pointed out that security forces will be deployed nationwide during the day of the election and the post-election period. As the crucial presidential election draws closer, the Postal Department today announced the conclusion of the distribution of official polling cards to households. Voters who have not received their polling cards yet are requested to visit the nearest sub-post office along with their national identity card to verify their identity and obtain their polling card. The Postal Department further noted that the post offices will remain open during the upcoming 3 days for voters to obtain their polling cards. Meanwhile, the Election Commission announced that the voters who fail to obtain their official polling cards are eligible to vote by verifying their identity using the national identity card.
People
know what their polling station is as usual. However, if someone is still unaware about their respective polling station, they can acquire the relevant information from the Grama Nilgiri officer responsible for their domain. We have completed all our tasks on time. The plans we have made will be implemented accordingly. All senior deputy inspector generals of police in charge of the provinces have been notified on the deployment of the security forces on the day of the election and post-election period.
Meanwhile, Deputy Chief Secretary of the Western Province's Chief Secretary, L.A. Kalukapuarachi, revealed that all windows issuing revenue licenses in the Western Province will be closed on the 20th of September since the relevant officials will be released for election duties.
Horizon Campus 2024 Intake 2. Register now.
කවුද ඔයා මෙච්චර ලස්සන්ට වෙනස් කළේ?
වෙනස් මනුස්සෙක්. දිලිත් වෙනස් මනුස්සෙක්. රටක් වෙනස් කරන්නට තරුවෙන්.
වැඩිම මනාපෙන් ජනතා තේරීම මෙවරත්.
Sudeshi original kuhumbama tamai.
Now, independent candidate President Ranil Wickremesinghe invited the people to engage with him in developing the country while asserting that he is the only candidate moving forward along the correct path. Addressing a rally in Matale, the head of state urged the people to not hand over the country to groups that utter lies and spread hate. An election rally under the theme Puluwang Sri Lanka to support the victory of independent candidate President Ranil Wickremesinghe was held in Matale today.
අපි රනිල් වික්‍රමසිංහ ජනාධිපතිතුමාට කොන්දේසි විරහිතව සහයෝගය දෙන්න තීන්දුව
Please keep in mind that we decided to support Ranil Wickremesinghe without condition due to his bravery. Fairy tales are uttered on different election stages. None of them talk about what you are going to get. None of them talk about rebuilding the economy or how they are going to continue with the IMF program.
ඉදිරියට ගෙන යන විදිය IMF ප්‍රෝග්‍රෑම් එක ඉදිරියට ගෙනියන විදිය ගැන වචනයක් කතා කරන්නේ නැහැ.
අපේ ටීම් එක බලන්නලු එක්කෙනෙක් කියනවා. මොන ටීම් එකද?
One candidate asked us to take a look at his team. However, that team refused to accept responsibility in 2022 when the country was in a crisis with fuel and gas queues. Only Ranil Wickremesinghe accepted that responsibility. When Ranil Wickremesinghe is elected as the president on the 22nd, he will not dissolve the parliament. We have things to do. We will move on to the next election by finalizing the budget for 2025. Through that budget, we will increase the proposed salary hike of state sector employees. Do not waste your votes because this is not the time to vote immature politicians into power. The votes that go in vain will benefit another party. They talk about deals. I want them to reveal the deals that they make.
අපි අහනවා බබාලා අතර යන ඩීල් එක මොකක්ද කියලා රටට හෙළි කරන්නයි කියලා මිත්‍රවරුනි.
සමගි ජන බලවේගය කියපු අය. අර ජාත්‍යන්තර මුල්‍ය අරමුදලට සාකච්ඡා සාර්ථක වෙන්නේ නැහැ කිව්වා. රනිල් වික්‍රමසිංහ මේ පාර ජනාධිපතිවරණය තියන්නේ නැහැ කිව්වා. කරන්නේ නැහැ කියපු හැම එකක්ම කරලා පුළුවන් කියලා පෙන්නපු මිනිස්සයා තමයි මේ ඉන්නේ. ඒ නිසා මතක තියාගන්න 22 වෙනිදාට එළි වෙනකොට මේ රටේ ජනාධිපති රනිල් වික්‍රමසිංහ මැතිතුමා කියන එක ප්‍රකාශ කරමින් ඔබ සියලු දෙනාටම ජය වේවායි ප්‍රාර්ථනා කරනවා.
දැන් මුදල් තියෙන නිසා වාහන ආනයන කරන තහනම ඉවත් කරනවා.
The vehicle import ban will be lifted because we have sufficient funds. Anyone will be able to buy at least a new motorcycle. We will further develop the country next year and create an export-oriented economy. Our path is clear. Please move forward in that direction. If the NPP prepares the 2025 budget the way they want, they will breach the conditions of the IMF. If they deviate from that path, the dollar will climb up to 500 rupees. I need explanations for these. Former Minister of Agriculture Andra Kumara Dissanayaka invited me for a debate. I said I am ready. I told them to explain whether they are in favor of an export-oriented economy or an import-oriented one. 3 days have passed and I have received no response from them. I'm waiting until they clarify that matter. They are lying and are unable to answer now. They do not talk about a single economic issue. All they say is that we are thieves and they are not. They say that they did not get a chance. They are spreading hate. They question us on what we have done over the past 75 years. They said that we have done nothing for the general public. In 1948, there were only 3,188 schools in Sri Lanka. There are 11,300 schools and periveners in Sri Lanka today. In 1950, our exports amounted to $470 million US, and today it has increased up to 16 billion US. If I read the complete report, I will have to stay here all night. Some of the candidates lie to claim votes. Are you planning to let them form a government? We ask them not to reveal the truth without deceiving the youngsters. I actually have nothing to say about the Samagi Jana Balavege. They have presented 2 manifestos. Our manifesto mentions fertilizer subsidies while the other manifesto does not. Sajid Premadasa is always aiming to provide things for free. The only thing that is remaining for him to provide is a free headache. Are you going to entrust your future to the NPP or this JB? I urge you to cast your vote before the gas cylinder on the 21st of September. If not, there will not be a future for this country.
ගෑස් සිලින්ඩරේ ළඟින් කතර ගහන්න. ඒ නැත්තම් ගෑස් සිලින්ඩරේත් නෑ අනාගතයක් නෑ.
Presidential candidate of the Samagi Jana Balavege led Samagi Jana Sandhaniya, leader of the opposition, Sajid Premadasa reveals that a SJB government is committed to alleviating poverty in Sri Lanka while also implementing measures to enhance the livelihoods of the people. Addressing a rally, Premadasa further pointed out that the attorneys of the Samagi Jana Balavege have already taken those responsible for Sri Lanka's grueling economic crisis to court.
Another election rally pledging support to the Samagi Jana Balavege led Samagi Jana Sandhaniya's presidential candidate, opposition leader Sajid Premadasa, was held today in Ratnapura.
මේ සමාජයේ නිරාගමික කියලා පිළිගන්න අනුර කුමාර
Anura Kumara, who had previously been an atheist, is now a devoted Buddhist. This nation's leader is responsible to preserve and protect the temple of the sacred tooth relic. But does anyone here really believe that the people who bombed the temple of the sacred tooth relic will protect it? They should be prepared to face the consequences of their actions.
කරපුවේ විපාකේ විඳින්න ලේස්ති වෙයන් කියලා අපි උඹට කියනවා.
අපි බලයට එන්නේ නිකන් නෙවෙයි. ඔබ මත පටවල තියෙන සහ ගහන බදු අයින් කරන්න.
We will come into power to ease the tax burden levied on the public. This government has levied taxes on essential goods including fuel, food and medication. But Sajith Premadasa will abolish this tax regime as soon as he takes office as president. Members of the MPP assert that they declined ministerial perks while in office. 2 decades earlier, they made the same statement. However, after receiving all those benefits, members of the NPP solicit your vote now.
සියලු දෙනාම ඔය ඔක්කොම කරලා තමයි නැවත වතාවක් ඔබෙන් බලය ඉල්ලන්නේ මිට්ටෝරුනි.
21 වෙනිදාට රටේ ජනතාවත් සතුව තිබෙනවා.
The people's decision on the 21st of September is obvious. They can either support Ranil or Anura to further destroy this country. If not, they have the option of voting into power a government that will represent the common man. As a part of our 24-month strategy to end poverty in Sri Lanka, we will give 20,000 rupees to the people for 2 years. As a government, we are committed to alleviating poverty in the country. A certain party claims to punish the corrupt. The attorneys of the Samagi Janabalawege have already filed cases against the Rajapaksa family who led the country towards bankruptcy. The ones implicated in theft have already been produced before the Supreme Court. Nevertheless, victims have not yet received compensation. We will protect you and ensure that you have a prosperous livelihood. We'll also put policies in place to assist the growth of towns and cities. Additionally, we assure you that we will develop this country further.
අපේ මාතෘභූමිය ගොඩනගනවාමයි කියන එක ප්‍රකාශ කරමින් දුරකථනයට
Leader and presidential candidate of the National People's Power, Andrew Kumar Dissanayake, claims that their party will consistently stay true to their policies unlike other local political parties. Addressing an election rally in Anuradhapura, he states that their party will manifest the publicly demanded change on the 21st of September.
An electoral rally of the National People's Power held this morning in Anuradhapura, pledging support for the party's leader and presidential candidate Andrew Kumar Dissanayake.
අපේ මේ අනුරාධපුරේ අම්මලා තාත්තලාට මේ අනුරාධපුරේ ජනතාවට සමහරු උදේ
Some people hand out leaflets to the people in Anuradhapura and claim that those who do not have international exposure and experience cannot deal with the IMF. However, the International Monetary Fund says there is no such thing. We had 5 rounds of discussions with them and voiced our concerns pertaining to certain taxes levied on the people. We definitely need to hold discussions on that matter and pass the necessary amendments. The International Monetary Fund has already stated that they are ready to hold those discussions with our government and assist us in passing the necessary amendments.
ඉදිරියේදී ආණ්ඩුවත් එක්ක ඕනෑම සාකච්ඡාවකට සූදානම් කියන කාරණයක් මේ වන විට ප්‍රසිද්ධ කරලා තියෙනවා.
අපි සජිත්ගේ නඩේට කියන්නේ රාජපක්ෂලත් විනාශ වෙච්ච සටන් පාට තමයි දැන් කරේ තියාගෙන දුවන්නේ සජිත් ප්‍රේමදාසලා.
Sajith Premadasa's team tout the same slogans that ended the Rajapaksa regime. They are outdated. I request Sajith Premadasa to come up with something new without reusing the old slogans. Sajith Premadasa's camp is reigniting racial tensions at the moment. However, the public does not panic. Will you be deceived by the same old tricks once more? Nevertheless, Sajith has on both sides of the aisle. He has Champik and Rishad Badiuddin. He has Tilanga Sumitipala and Arjuna Ranatunga. They are hypocrites. Is that a political policy? They are holding all the cards close to their chests. We are not like that. The country needs a political party that consistently stands on the same principles. That is the NPP. What these leaders do is that they break the law and use the law enforcement agencies to protect themselves. Our government will ensure that we will provide personal police protection exclusively to those who have credible threats against them. Sajith Premadasa copies everything we say except these. Have you heard him talking about permit cancellation or cancellation of pensions? He remains silent when he hears all of that. Our teachers, businessmen, the Buddhist clergy and other religious leaders want this change. Let us get together and bring about this change on the 21st of September.
අන්න ඒක තමයි සැප්තැම්බර් මාසේ 21 වෙනිදා. ඒ වෙනුවෙන් අපි හැමදෙනාම එකතු වෙමු.
Presidential candidate of the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna Namal Rajapaksa says he will make sure that Sri Lanka is the most developed country in Asia during his tenure as president. Addressing a gathering today, Rajapaksa said that a government led by his party will enact the necessary laws to prevent parliamentarians from crossing over to other political parties.
An electorate meeting of Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna pledging support to the party's presidential candidate Namal Rajapaksa was held in Ampara today.
Anura cannot develop this country because he has not revealed how he is going to do it. He only speaks of how to spread hatred, catch thieves and incarcerate them. Sajith has no vision since he does not have any great expectations. People are not satisfied with Ranil Wickremesinghe. So why are people satisfied with Namal Rajapaksa? Namal will be elected the president since he will use the latest technology to recommence the development initiatives spearheaded by Mahinda Rajapaksa, which were stopped in 2015.
නාමල් රාජපක්ෂ මේ රටේ ජනාධිපති වෙනවා කියන විශ්වාසය තියෙන්නේ. රට බෙදෙන උවමනාව තියෙන්නේ කුමන්ත්‍රණ කරුවන්ට.
Conspirators want to divide the nation. We will not let anyone push this country towards terror and war. They say that they are going to hold the corrupt accountable. They have nothing else to do other than assault, murder and commit arson. Please do not try to experiment those people and plunge the country into danger. Those who rode the wave still have the time to join us. They can join Namal Rajapaksa representing the SLPP to rebuild the country. I assure you that Namal will live up to the trust you all vested in me.
මේ රටේ ජනතාව මා කෙරෙහි තිබූ විශ්වාසය ඉදිරියට රකින්න නාමල්ට පුළුවන් බව මා ස්ථීරවම තමුන්වහන්සේලාට වගකීමකින් යුක්තව කියනවා.
We have come here with a program. Our politics is not based on promises. What we see at the moment is that when one candidate mentions the provision of 20,000 rupees in his manifesto, the other says that he will provide 50,000 rupees. We have to be done with the political culture that relies on promises that cannot be kept. Everyone talks about swapping alliances. Even we inquire about the political affiliations of certain people when we meet them. It is difficult to assess where party leaders stand at the moment. I believe that we should enact laws in Parliament to prevent political pole vaulting. My government will enact the necessary laws to prevent parliamentarians from crossing over to other parties. Not only will I expedite the development that was halted, but I will also take steps to make sure that Sri Lanka is the most developed nation in Asia. I am ready to accept the responsibility of your children's future.
ඔබේ දරුවාගේ හෙට දවසේ වගකීම අපි පාර ගන්නවායි කියන එක ප්‍රකාශ කරමින් ඔබට ජය වේවා.
Presidential candidate of the Sarvajana Balaya Alliance, Dilith Jayavira, asserts that he will settle the debt owed by Sri Lanka and assures to establish several streams of revenue for the country. Addressing a rally today, Jayavira highlighted that his party will provide the required expertise for the youth to become entrepreneurs. Another rally in support of the Sarvajana Balaya's presidential candidate, Dilith Jayavira, was held in Balapitiya today.
මේ ආර්ථික අර්බුදයෙන් වැඩියෙන්ම පීඩාවට පත් වෙලා ඉන්නේ කාන්තාව. ඒ ආර්ථික අර්බුදයෙන් ගොඩ ඒමට තමයි මේ අපේ සර්වජන බලයේ උපාය මාර්ගික වැඩපිළිවෙල හරහා ව්‍යවසායකත්ව රාජ්‍යයක් ගොඩ නගමින් කාන්තාවටත් ඒ ව්‍යවසායක රාජ්‍යයට සහභාගී වීමට මුල් තැනක් දෙමින් අපි ඒ වැඩපිළිවෙලක් ඉදිරිපත් කරලා තියෙන්නේ.
නිර්මාණශීලීව හිතලා රුපියල් 2500 ඇස්වැසුම වෙනුවට
Instead of the Aswasuma program currently in place, we will introduce a program where each household will be able to secure a minimum income of 100,000 rupees. This is a part of the strategic plan put forward by the Sarvajana Balaya to establish an entrepreneurial nation. We implore other political parties to cease their idle chatter. We will settle the debt. We intend to establish streams of revenue for the nation. We have committed ourselves to establishing a capital bank through our manifesto. Similarly, there There will be an entrepreneurial fund established. We will also provide the required expertise for the youth willing to become entrepreneurs. This is how your lives will change. With your support, we will be able to defeat all other alliances and instate a truthful nation. As such, I request you to vote for me on the 21st of September. I request you to vote for me to enhance yourselves. In order to affirm your trust, we request everyone to vote for me on the day of the presidential election.
And now here's a look at the latest developments on the political front ahead of the presidential polls.
සජිත් ප්‍රේමදාස මේ මැතිවරණයට ඇවිල්ලා තියෙන්නේ පොරොන්දු මල්ලක් අරගෙන නෙමෙයි කරන්නම් කියන අපේක්ෂකයින්ට වඩා මෙච්චර කාලයක් බලයක් ඇතුවත් බලයක් නැතුවත් වැඩ කරපු මිනිහා තමයි අනාගත ජනාධිපති සජිත් ප්‍රේමදාස මැතිතුමා කියන එක මම නොබියව කියනවා. ඔගොල්ලෝ ඕලොට්ටුවක් කරලා සජිත් දිනන්නේ සජිත් දිනනවා නම් තලත යන්නේත් නැහැ සජිත් දිනනවා නම් චම්පි ගන්නෙත් නැහැ. ඒ ඡන්දෙන් නියත පරාජයක් අත්පත් වෙන අපේ ප්‍රතිවාදී අපි ගැන එක එක බය හදන බව අපි දන්නවා. අපි ඔක්කොම එකතු වෙලා මේ රට හදන්න බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන්නේ.
මේ ප්‍රචණ්ඩත්වයට පුරුදු වෙච්ච ආයුධ බලයෙන් මේ රටේ බලය ගන්න ගිය කාණ්ඩායම නැවත මේ රටේ ප්‍රචණ්ඩත්වය ඇති කරලා මිනිස්සු බය කරන්න යනවා. 88 89 ඡන්දෙ දෙන්න යන්න එපා කො ඡන්ද පොළට. දැන් මේ අය මේ ඡන්දෙදි ඒ ප්‍රචණ්ඩත්වය ඇති කරන්න යනවා.
දැන් 88 89 ගැන කියනවා. ඉතින් මේ අපි ඉන්නේ ඔක්කොම අනුර සහෝදරයත් ඉන්නවා, හඳුන්නෙත් ඉන්නවා, අපි ඔක්කොමත් මේ ඉන්නවා, පාර්ලිමේන්තුවෙත් ඉන්නවා, එළියෙත් ඉන්නවා, පාරෙත් යනවා, යකෝ මොනාරි අපිට තියෙනවා නම් කේස් එකක් දාපල්ලකෝ.
සමගි ජන බලවේගය තරඟයට മന്ത്രിවරු දාගන්න ලෑස්ති වුණා පෞගිය කාලේ තමන්ගේ බකට් එකට විවිධ පොරොන්දු මලු දීලා ඔලු ගැඩි වලින් පෙන්වන්න හැදුවට මේ රටේ ජනතාවගේ වෙනසක් සිද්ධ වෙන්නේ නැහැ. මේ ක්‍රමවේදය පවත්වාගෙන ගියේ නැත්තම් අනිවාර්යයෙන්ම රට කඩා වැටෙනවා කියන තැන අද ජනතාව අවබෝධ කරගෙන තිබෙනවා.
ඒක ප්‍රතිලාභයක්වත් ජනතාවට ලැබිලා නැහනේ. ඒ ප්‍රතිලාභ ලැබලා තියෙනවනේ ජනතාව ඔක්කොම යන්නේ බෑ රනිල් වික්‍රමසිංහ මහත්තයා පස්සේ. එහෙම වෙන්නේ නැහැ. එහෙම වෙලත් නැහැ. IMF එකත් එක්ක වට 20ක් විතර අපි සාකච්ඡා තියලා තියෙනවා. ඒ කළ හැකි කළ යුතු දේවල් පමණයි අපි කියන්නේ.
ආර්ථිකය පිළිබඳව කිසිම දැනීමක් නැති රටක් පාලනය කළා කිසිම අත්දැකීමක් නැති අපේක්ෂකයෙක්ට මේ රට බාර දුන්නොත් ආපෝ මේ රට ආපස්සට තමයි යන්නේ.
This program is sponsored by
දත්ත කටමැද බලා සිටි නියම වාසියක් අපේ මනාපය සිග්නල් ස්ට්‍රෝං ගීත්.
Star Dishwasher Rally Hell ඉඳුල් පහසුවෙන් සේදේ. Star Dishwasher Magic Tub එක.
Crunchy goodness for hunger on the go.
චන්දරුසුනේ කාගෙන් මනාපේ සිග TV. සිග TV සඳහා සුපිරි ඩීල්.
Welcome back. Now in some positive economic news, Sri Lanka has recorded a 4.7% GDP growth in the second quarter of 2022, marking the fourth consecutive positive growth following 6 quarters of contraction since 2022. According to the State Minister of Finance, Srihan Semasinghe, this recovery reflects the effectiveness of ongoing reforms. Semasinghe added that the growth rate is expected to remain strong, with forecasts suggesting a 4 to 4.5% increase by the end of the year, significantly exceeding the IMF's initial target of 2%. Further, he stated this positive trajectory highlights the success of the government's efforts in stabilizing the economy and promoting sustainable development. And now here's a look at some corporate news in brief.
The Colombo Stock Exchange and DFCC Bank PLC entered into a memorandum of understanding recently with the aim of enhancing the facilitation of inward investment accounts for non-resident foreign individuals in Sri Lanka. This partnership aims to simplify the investment process and strengthen Sri Lanka's capital markets by attracting a broader range of international investors. In other corporate news, Chairman of Eastern Merchants PLC, JBL De Silva, stated that the company's focus on innovation, sustainability, operational excellence and customer satisfaction will drive their growth and assist them to adapt to evolving market conditions. In its annual report for the financial year, the chairman added that the company is committed to leveraging emerging trends and new technologies to enhance their competitive edge and deliver long-term value to shareholders.
That's all the news we have for you tonight. Thank you. Have a great night.